this. Um, do either of you want to share your experience with the Wish of Bethlehem for the first week? Because we've just completed week 1.
I would say that I'm finding it very, very powerful,
Mhm.
and especially the activations. And I've ended up doing them at night before I go to bed. And when I do that activation before I go to bed, I go into such a deep sleep. And sometimes I'm somewhat aware of where I went in the evening, and other times I'm not. And the next morning, I can barely get up because I feel that I have either been part of something or somewhere or doing something that in the morning I just have to acclimate back to this reality, and I have just such a hard time getting up in the morning afterwards. So I know it's really deep. Can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, because somehow I got a big phone image in the middle of the screen.
Oh, yeah. We just had a new caller
Okay,
join. Hello? 408. I don't believe.
Hi, this is Julie.
Hi, Julie. Welcome.
Hi.
We're just sharing our experience right now with regards to our Wish Upon a Star of Bethlehem.
Okay.
So, Melinda, go ahead and please finish up.
okay. And then, and I feel so happy in my heart because whenever I'm putting on the products or taking a drop of the elixir, I envision that these, I don't know if this was in the homework or this is what it evolved into. I just feel the star light or the star particles from the Star of Bethlehem, and I put my hands on my heart, and I feel like I'm making connection. And earlier, is it Arshana? Or, okay, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. You're saying it feels lonely, and yes, I felt that. And then whenever I put my hands on my heart, I feel like I really connect with the Star of Bethlehem, and my heart just gets so happy.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful.
And then as you and I were saying early, Erica, it's really strong for me and I get shaky.
Mhm.
And I really have gone back to yoga, and I really have to work on grounding myself. So that's where I am. My big focus is grounding, to be able to handle what feels like a higher frequency and a lot of energy than what I'm used to. So grounding is very important for me right now.
Yeah, I think that is the most important because sometimes when the energy moves through, it feels so heavy, and it's not meant to feel heavy. It's meant to move through the body and make you feel lighter in some ways. So the intensity, what we're recognizing as intensity, is where it gets not necessarily stuck, but stagnant. And so it's so important to ground and to move because
Mhm.
of how much energy is flowing through us.
Okay.
It's fascinating to me.
Hmm. Yes, yes.
Julie, how's your experience been since week 1 of starting?
It's been moving. Um, yeah, it's been great. Um, when getting it, it felt uh, bright. It also felt otherworldly. And I don't, sometimes there's not words.
Right.
It feels nice not to be in the head
Right.
and
Yes.
to be in the heart instead of having to explain something. It's more experiencing it and throughout the day as well.
Yes, I feel that. I feel the frequency beyond those words. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like the wish shifted,
Mm.
like it already transpired.
Oh, I love that. I am a big astrologer. I love astrology. And so we are entering into a full moon cycle, but this one is 12/12 on 12/12. And the manifestation, opportunity, creation, and communication is amplified. So we already have started the energy moving into that cycle. So I too feel is that the energy shift and the frequency raising in that has really already taken into effect, and that it will carry us into that new year.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it's beneficial to change the wish during the course.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you actually, because a lot of times when we start, and I think that was the beauty of how we're doing the hourglass, the what, the where, and the why, it evolves. It's going to organically change because I feel as though as we raise in frequency, what we are connecting to hasn't been created yet. And so what we are identifying or having a story or a program or an idea could be third dimensional, and we're transitioning it into fifth. And so we have to put some kind of idea behind it to make it seem to create or to manifest, when in reality it's the frequency and the energy, and that's going to evolve and it'll change into something that will organically grow that you can't even necessarily comprehend because you feel the frequency of it, but as you said before, we can't always put the words or the image to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it is, yeah, because it felt like it was like, well, this is already, it's going to change. It's
Yes.
already been, so we can go on to something else.
Yes, I love how fast you're moving through it because that's been my experience. What I started with um, has completely changed since day one, and it's organically changing because obviously what I think I wanted, when I say why and I feel it in my body, the why is different, and so then it has unveiled what it really needs to be. And so I it's funny because I keep getting the message that as long as we're honoring our soul and we're honoring our purpose, everything will come into unity and we're supported. And so what is the feeling that I want to feel in that? Because last week I feel it was a week of shattering the illusions of what you think you want versus the illusions of what the soul needs to elevate.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Yeah, and when taking the elixir as well, it's like you feel, because, putting the first one under the tongue and letting go of the disbelief, and then the next one and saying it out loud, there's a shift, not only in the energy, also in the taste of the elixir.
Yeah, yes, yes. Julie and I are doing a couple elixirs, and we switched um, to the Star of Bethlehem elixir last week, and it's so light and lovely and intense, but in a joyful, easy way. And it's amazing
Yes,
how,
that's, yeah,
yeah, and the frequency of the ormus changes and it evolves, and so the elixir is also going to change frequency and elevate in frequency as we continue this journey through our with our next 30 days. And to me, we already feel that, taste that, experience it, and it's magical. I think it's intensely magical is the words that I keep using.
yeah, gentle and potent.
Yes, gentle and potent. I love that because I was asking for something more gentle because I feel as though prior to us starting this journey, it was really intense and not as gentle.
Agree.
Yeah.
Archana, would you like to share your experience with the wish on the Star of Bethlehem?
Sure. So there's been a lot of different things happening for me personally. For one, when this first came out in the email, I was out in a place where I didn't have network and I couldn't get through it, right? So there was a lot of frustration about, oh, I can't get onto this, you know? And then when I did come back and I was able to get in, I was like, okay, so this is still meant to be. So yes, I'm in, right? So that was an interesting shift right there. And what started to happen for me is I do work with a lot of sacred geometry, and I'm very drawn to certain symbols and certain other patterns. And when I first um, created my wish and even started putting some thought around it, at first it felt like, yeah, this is a little too far out. But then something said, it's okay, it can be there. So I just let it be. And um, and and I don't have any other coincidence at this moment in time to point to, but um, something that had been on my list to watch was the movie about Wonder Woman, and it's been on my list for a while. And I kept, for some reason, avoiding it. I didn't get to it, and I knew I would not be able to watch it in one sitting. I kind of knew that. So I think something triggered something somewhere, and I still don't know where to put a finger on it. But literally, as I started this last week, and I also found a way to start watching the movie in pieces, it's almost like simultaneously they have both triggered and released a lot of stuff in and through me. And I could clearly see why I had to take even the movie in chunks, because so much came up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally finished it yesterday. So it doesn't take a week to watch a 2-hour movie, right? But it did. So I'm just feeling like, for me, at the bottom line, there's been um, a lot of shifts at a very deep level that I still don't put a finger on. Yes, I do work with energy. I'm very in tune with a lot of things that are going on inside and around me, but still, I don't question everything, or I don't need to know everything. That's where I am right now. So I just feel like there's a lot that is unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've literally started tuning into the why, it still feels in alignment.
Mm.
So, um, and I have some more words that are coming in, and I am trusting that it's okay to put some words for the why. I have not written it down yet, but I literally saw the email, so I still have to work on it. So it just feels like it's still going to feed my why, although my wish right now is at a material level. It
Same
still
here.
feeds. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So, though it is still at a material level, it is still feeding my why, which is a lot more than my material why, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. So that's where I am. And what I've been using your product for a year now, so I'm a big fan. Jules knows that. So in terms of products, I don't question or I have no what should I say, doubts or concerns about those. I'm on board completely. So I think it's just working through what is coming up, or I don't even know what is coming up right now. So I'm just letting it unfold. But what I'm observing, and I would love to see if you have any further inputs on this, is at a physical level and at an emotional level, there's a lot of stuff that's getting stirred up that I didn't see them all coming at the same time. I've dealt with them at separate times before, but now it's like everything is up here. It's like, okay, you know, um, and some of these are not things I have dealt with in the past in one shot. So it's like, should I just let it be, or should I be doing something about it, or take a neutral stance? So that's something that's I mean, that I'm working through, and I would love to know if you have any inputs or any feedback on that.
I think, yes, as we're all experiencing these physical and emotional shifts, what I've discussed with Julie many times and what I'm understanding, there's nothing we have to do. We just have to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to stay neutral because the mind wants to attach an emotion to what the body is experiencing. And the mind is scrambling to attach, because what I understand and what I feel as though is happening to our bodies is that we're shattering the illusion of a collective shift. And so the old ways don't serve and resonate our physical being and body anymore. And so as our lights shine inside, there's almost like a shell that's happening, and it's evolving. Like, I want to look at it like a caterpillar into a butterfly. And as it grows and expands, prior to that expansion, there's a contraction, there's a withdrawal, and the body is actually withdrawing in, and the mind wants to keep control of that. But because our light inside is shining so bright and is breaking through in the expansion, there's these disconnects. And so in order to let it be, we're rewiring the programming. And I feel as though the elixir is so powerful, and the frequency of the product assists in that rewiring to help elevate us. But because I know what you're talking about with regards to the emotion attached with the physical, because for me, it feels like a fight or flight. It feels like my body is standing on a ledge and everything has already jumped, but the emotion is fear and my body is stuck. And yet I'm already far past it. It's as if I superseded it. And so it's understanding that we as humans are redefining what it means to be human in the next dimension and in beyond.
Right.
And so there's that separation, and it's similar to the death of the ego, where it's actually becoming like the death of the physical body, where we're understanding that we don't need it to elevate. And so I've been a natural observer and trying to not let it take over with regards to the emotion of it and the feeling of it, which is very challenging, I think. So I'm trying to make it as light as possible. That's dancing or singing or walking, or, people do yoga, or just getting, like, moving the energy through. Because if at any given moment you stop and try to actually think or make sense of it, it almost feels like you're going crazy. It almost like you're going to jump off the cliff. And that's not how it's supposed to be intense, but it's not supposed to feel like that. So it's trying to find a way, because I'm so normally pretty good at staying neutral, but because there's such a rewiring happening, I'm just trying to observe and let it be and see where that comes out. Because in any given moment, I'm not dying, though it feels like I could be on the inside. Right? Like, I know I'm physically not dying. Everything around me is, in my world, safe, okay, breathing in, breathing out, understanding it, but everything around it. But my body is not responding as if it's that way. So I'm watching it just kind of scramble, if you will.
Right,
and my mind is trying to make sense of it. And that is just because we're not our thoughts and we're not our mind. So I find it fascinating because it's really trying hard to control the situation or to control the outcome or the feeling and attach something to it, which I've already cleared. And so it's trying to drag me back for it to make sense. And that unknown space is where I'm finding it okay to just be, and not to question, though it's a wild ride. It's a very wild ride.
Yeah, and to just add to that, it also feels like the body now wants to heal at a faster pace, but it's trying to figure out, how do I catch up? What do I do? And what about these things that are already there? It's like, I've always been very aware of the gap, as I call it, between the physical body, the emotional body, and the energetic body. And I also have I have my own description of how these graphs go. But bottom line, the gap has been there, but now it's come to a point where the gap is a little too obvious, or it's like the physical body does want to catch up, but it's like, okay, now how do I speed up? What do I do? What do I need to do? Right. So
Well, have you ever had the analogy, and I'm going to ask everyone out there, when we first started shifting, there was a sense of if we shift, we're going to be alone. No one's going to shift with us. When the reality is everything around you shifts with you. And so there's that sense of not necessarily a fear to elevate, but thinking that you will be alone in that journey when you know you won't be. And the more you're in it, you step into it and you have that sensation of you're not alone and you've never been more supported and protected. I feel as though the shift and the elevation of our light beings getting brighter and bigger, our body is having the fear that it's going to be left behind. And our body's experiencing, it wants to catch up, but in the realms that we are elevating to, it doesn't know its purpose anymore. And so I feel as though our physical bodies are making that shift because we're clearing genetic markers that exist way ancestrally. And so as we're evolving into it, the genetic markers are rewriting themselves. And so I've been clearing, deleting, and removing anything that doesn't resonate. And in that, the body doesn't know its place. It doesn't know how to survive in the other realms. It's almost acting as its own entity, which I think is really fascinating to me because I've never experienced the disconnect, even though I was clearing the programs from it. There's a definite, it doesn't want to be left behind in a sense. It wants to be honored more than just a shell.
right, yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense.
And Melinda or Julie, have you had any of that experience?
Yes, and I didn't mean to just jump in there so abruptly, but when you're talking, I so identify what you're saying. And this morning, my lower left jaw has been really sore. So I went to the dentist this morning. He goes, "Oh, everything looks good." I said, "But my jaw is really sore." And when he did several x-rays, he goes, "You have a really rare thing going on with your molar." And he said, "It's like your tooth is destroying itself from the inside out." He said it's very rare, and he said it's almost like an autoimmune kind of thing where the body is attacking itself and it's below the bone, and I'm going to have my molar removed.
Wow.
Yeah, and when he was talking, I thought, okay, this is not just my tooth. This is symbolic of something else that is going on with me. And I related to it because as part of this process, I feel like I'm carrying a lot of persecution from the past, and maybe not just mine or more, and about speaking out and stepping in to my purpose. And this Star of Bethlehem process feels so powerful. I feel that it's triggering like a very strong old fear that perhaps in some kind of past or mass consciously with women, that speaking out in the past was not safe. And I feel like I'm really working through and connecting with my purpose, which will require me to speak out. My body is also resisting it. And I've triggered this very, very strong ancestral and my fear of persecution of speaking out.
Do you feel a little grief in that? I'm getting grief, and not necessarily your grief, but the grief of how it was treated prior to the ancestral grief.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
We hold, believe it or not, grief in our teeth and in our jaws. And so accepting it and understanding it and letting it go is clearing it. that I feel as though our body is, because we are so attuned to our bodies now, it's triggering things that need to be addressed and felt and let go.
But I don't want to let go of my tooth.
No, I know.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
No, I don't. No, I get it. I understand exactly what you mean. But our bodies have a way of triggering past programs that we need to clear, and past, it goes back deep, and it may,
It feels very deep.
Yeah, it's so deep. And so as we clear those to elevate, because we need to, in order to rise above, we need to let it go and clear it, because it no longer serves us. And that does come in the form of an ailment or an illness or a tooth or something broken or a bone. And it's fascinating, because I understand the fear, but I'm getting there's a sense of loss or grief in that process for you. And so I just want you to explore some of that.
Yeah, in fact, if I can add to that, it's very interesting that Melinda is talking about the left side jaw, right? I've been having
Yes.
soreness in my left jaw joint and near the ear intermittently the entire week. It's so I'm like, wow, same side, same thing. Whoa, okay. And it comes and goes, and it comes and goes, and even the bone near my ear, that's exactly the jaw joint and whatever else. That's the place it's been, and I think it almost started around the same time, and I could not even like open my mouth, and then it released, and then it hurts sometimes, and then something was feeling in my ear and it goes. And so I'm just observing what's going on, and yesterday it was like it was almost gone, and as of this morning it's a little bit back again, and I'm going, and she's exactly talking about the same thing, right? And I'm going, wow, talk about the same place, same thing going on. And I don't feel like it's anywhere in my teeth. It's more like my jaw joint. It's about
Yes.
my opening of the mouth. It's like, where am I biting more than what I can chew, or have I already bitten something that I cannot chew? It's like, so that's where my awareness has been going back and forth, and I'm like, okay, let me just see what else is going on. And I've been doing some energy work on it, and I can see it's shifting, but it's definitely um, something deep. And whatever you were sharing, Erica, with it being deep, definitely um, resonates. And I'll be honest, in terms of the emotion, it just feels more like a discomfort for me. It's like, what am I not able to, like, chew, or um, basically take a bite of, or have, like I said, have I taken a bite of something that I can't chew? So it just feels more along those lines for me. It's like, where is this going on? And I can kind of relate to some areas of my life, but it's not like I have a clear, like, bingo point and go, oh, okay, because it feels like it's all over the place right now. So
Well, this is the left side of our bodies, our feminine side,
yeah.
and our feminine energy. And so what we're clearing together as a collective whole is healing the power of the female, and finding the balance of stepping into our feminine power with less, stepping into it and owning it and knowing how powerful it is. Where before, ancestrally clearing, that was hidden. That was something that needed to be hidden and not, I don't quite know the words, but we, as we're stepping into our power, we understand what we're capable of, and there is balance between the masculine and feminine energy. But as we shift, I find as though most of us are stepping more into our feminine and releasing our masculine, and in doing so, we're releasing all of the programs and the ancestral persecution of those that didn't have that opportunity, because we were all together at once. We were all part of the same particle. So we all come from the same existence. And so in doing that and stepping into our power, we're clearing all of that past hindrance, that past silence the stuff that they weren't allowed to move forward with, where it wasn't accepted to be a woman, where it was considered less than to be a woman. But we're now, as we're stepping into that power, we're understanding how much that is a creation of how we're supposed to be. So I love that as women, we're experiencing a lot of this on our left side. Like for me, a lot of my stuff also comes from my left side. And when I get into the mind or something that's a little bit more material or a little bit more 3D, it shoots me back to masculine. And the stress and the anxiety that I feel sometimes in my body is always on the right because it's more masculine. It's me trying to think it through versus feeling it through. So it's detaching from the mind and the thought and operating from the heart, because our hearts are feminine. It's our truth. It's our soul purpose. And so I'm watching it dissipate, and trying to find that balance and being okay stepping into that power. Because so many times everyone says, if you even know how powerful you are, you would question nothing. And so what are we truly clearing when we step into our truth and step into our power? I don't think it's our stuff that we're clearing. I think it's stuff that we're clearing from ages and decades of past. And so when we take on that responsibility and that accountability, like, okay, we're here to do it. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to elevate. That carries baggage of things of people that couldn't do that prior to.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And as you're saying this, the two words that are definitely jumping up and down here for me are balance and harmony. And that's something I've been working on and towards for the last few years. So it almost feels like it's a coming together or an integration of all this that has been happening, because some of my personal, I used to be very different, and then a lot of my masculine came out, and then now I'm tapping into another facet of my feminine side. So it's a lot of this integration that's going on, and I can feel the integration that's really heading more towards balance and harmony. Energetically, I've felt it, but I think it's like you said, it's a physical integration, and the body making sense and peace with it is what is going on. So happy to allow, happy to facilitate, and happy to watch.
Yeah. Eat with ease and joy. I always
Yeah,
add
exactly.
ease and joy. I'm
Yeah.
on this journey for ease and joy, because that balance and harmony is necessary, because it doesn't always feel as easy. And sometimes you want to put an emotion to it, it's not always joy. And so I keep saying we're so lucky to have a human body, right? We were brought here to have a human body.
Yeah.
And Erica, when you were speaking, what really stood out for me was silence and hiding. And I really feel that's what I'm grieving, the eons or time that women had to be silent and hidden with their healing powers. And I feel that's what really resonated for me. And I think what's going on for me is ancestrally just having to be silent and hidden about all of this work. We all still did it, and sometimes were caught and sometimes weren't. But now in this lifetime, coming out without that fear of retribution and feeling free. And mine is about, I think, speaking out. So feeling free and safe to speak out and open about, what my purpose is, what my goals are, and, situation that I need to address.
Yeah. And I feel as the Star of Bethlehem is truly assisting us in the journey. I truly believe that particle, that star is such a mystical factor in rewriting the grid for us and in rewiring all of our genetic DNA in order to move forward. And so as our wish evolves and as everything organically takes place and evolves in frequency and in resonance, I think the way we started week 1, it will be completely different by the 31st. And it would be neat to see if we did an hourglass each week to see how it changed and evolves, because I really even feel throughout this call it's evolving collectively.
And I feel the Star of Bethlehem as it led the 3 wise men to Christ is the Star of Bethlehem leading us to the Christ consciousness within ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Miss Julie, any comments?
There were, and then they came and went. Yeah, it feels like being in the quiet.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that it's been moving through, and at the same time, it's like the words feel different,
Mm-hmm.
and energy feels different, and life feels different. Even though things came up, they might have felt like they were affecting before. Now it's being with it, seeing that it didn't have an effect.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. And all we can do to communicate is use words. And yet I'm finding, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate, these words don't mean the frequency that it holds.
Yeah, you were talking about, as all of you were sharing about stuff going on in the jaw, that's come up yesterday and today, especially on the right side, in the masseter and the temporalis muscles.
Mm-hmm. It just confirms our unity consciousness. It confirms that we're in it together. I would love to do a clearing for everybody. I think it's a good time to clear some of this. So if we can all close our eyes and put our hands on our heart, deep breath in. From the first particle of existence, from the star of Bethlehem guiding over us, I clear, delete, and remove any physical ailment, any genetic marker, any ancestral program, fear, grief of stepping into our truth. Be known as it no longer serves us. These ailments are showing us awareness, but no longer affect us. As we step into our power and become the bright light that we are, as we find balance and harmony, as we move through each energy and elevation with ease and joy, we reach the God particle. We are guided to Christ consciousness through unity consciousness as one as we step onto this new earth platform. Whether our desires are material, our elevation is pure, our frequency is here, and we are meant to be healed, we are meant to heal, and we are holding space for others as they join us on this journey. The Star of Bethlehem shines down bright. It embodies us with love, protection, guidance, and support. And as we move through our conscious body, our energetic body, our emotional body, and our physical body, as those things that don't resonate or serve us, they will pass away with little disruption to our purpose and our soul guidance. We ask you for love, for gentle support as we power through the next 30 days through the end of the year, holding this light bright above for all those to see and follow. As we do not journey alone, we journey together. Thank you. I love you. It is done. Does anyone have any closing statements?
I will say this felt really beautiful and I felt something move. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you as well. And I love this process. And I agree with you. It feels magical and mystical, just like the season that we are in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Erica.
Yeah, it's just, I feel all
Definitely.
so beautiful. And this journey is so beautiful and magical. And I love how we're evolving and we're in it together. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey. So I send you all with light and love, so many hugs and love. And if you have any questions or write them down, email us. We'll have our call next week with Julie. But watch as these hourglasses change, because I have a feeling they're all going to change for us in the next 7 days. And we're riding in the powerful Star of Bethlehem, and it's amplifying as we get closer to the end of the year. So just feel that warmth and love and know that you are supported, you are protected, and we're in it together. So much love, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.